because obviously...
I didn't expect this to happen.
I know, I didn't... This is going to be so bad. When you're ready. Are you rolling? Okay. Okay, go ahead. Ask your question. Let's start with that.
Okay. First thing here.
Yeah, come closer to this.
I just want to mention one thing. That
Content over everything.
What do you like to? What kind of female do you want to marry? Like you said.
Well, let's start from the beginning where you said you heard me say that you know, some women or quite a lot of women are like gold diggers effectively, and they marry men for money. They don't really care about love anymore. Those traditional ideas are kind of gone to the wayside a little bit.
Yeah.
And I stand as a bit of a hypocrite in my own sort of life, personal life, because I love the Western world, I love the Western society, I love all the things about Western, and yet if I want to marry a woman, I probably won't marry someone who has a lot of Western ideas. They're going to have to, I would prefer a woman with more traditional concepts of husband and wife, because I feel that that is better for the children. Because I mean, right now we have over 50% of marriages end in divorce.
Yeah, that is correct.
So marriage is a gamble already.
It's like a gamble. Yeah.
It's a bit of a gamble. And we've got women who have extremely high expectations because the media and the world that we live in, they told them they're all going to marry George Clooney, they're all going to marry like, you know, the Obama, and they're all going to become presidents, and they're going to become famous, and they're going to live a rich life. And most people are not. Most people are going to live a simple, basic, ordinary life. They're not going to be famous. They're not going to be anything. They're just going to live, raise some kids, and die.
Yeah, die.
Which is like the millions upon millions of people, billions who have done that. But people, a lot of people in the West, men and women, but a lot of Western women think that they need to, their man has to be extremely good looking, extremely wealthy, extremely amazing.
But they don't go in the inside part, like the personality. Most women, they go for the money.
Well, yeah, the money, because money brings security, money brings status.
Yeah, but you're gonna get the money and then you're gonna just walk out. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they do. There's a lot of sites where there's a lot of reports, like I've seen messages where girls are like, yeah, I'm just going to marry this guy, and in a year or two I'm going to divorce him, I'm going to take half his stuff, because they can, because the law allows them. So if the government allows them, if the system is geared, if the system was geared that I could take advantage of other people, most likely I would. Because if I know that I can go and talk to this girl, marry her for 2 years, and take half of her money, and she's a multi-millionaire, I don't know. I might not be such a good person. I might do that.
But the thing is, for me, I think that, you know, marriage, it's like a joke to me, because there's a lot of females and men. There's problems. There's a lot of problems in the marriage problems, and then just for a small thing, they'll just.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the problem of no-fault divorces, where you have divorces where people don't have to actually say there's a reason for the divorce. I don't love him anymore. That's literally the only thing.
But yeah, the thing is, they just take it as like a
it's
joke.
like a joke.
Yeah, a joke.
Yeah, they take it very lightly. That's the problem. This is what I mean about, you know, marrying someone who's more traditional for me, is because I want someone who takes marriage seriously to the extent in which when they are, you know, when they're in this, or before they get into the marriage, they have to realize this isn't just for you and me. This is for our children, and we can't rob those children of a future, of having a stable family, because of our personal desires, our personal needs. When you're married and when you have children, you no longer live for you. You're living for those kids. Your personal desires are going to be second place to the needs of that child. And no one takes that seriously anymore. People have kids because, you see, what's happened is, and now this is the weird thing. This is the problem of having a good social system. Women no longer need a man to supply them with money to survive. If they're a single mom, they can get a council house. The government will help them. The government has taken the position of what the man used to provide. So women no longer depend on a husband to be the provider. That's why they can make the choice of divorcing him so easily, because they're not worried. Like, okay, if I divorce him, how am I gonna feed myself? How am I gonna house myself? They don't have to worry about those things. I'll get a house from the council, I'll get money from the government, and I'll be fine. So screw it. I don't fancy him anymore. I'm going to go divorce him and have 20 boyfriends. It's so easy to do that. Now, I'm not saying that we shouldn't provide single mothers with these benefits. We should provide help. But the problem is that help has had an adverse effect upon the family unit. Because that help, although it's nice and it's altruistic, its adverse effect, the side effect of it, is that it has made divorce a very easy thing.
Yeah, and divorce rates are more high now.
Exactly. Because again, people have been told, you as an individual, your desires, your needs are number one. Because capitalism wants that. That's what capitalism thrives on. You fulfilling your desires. Go and buy whatever you want to buy. Eat whatever you want to eat. Do whatever you want to do. Because, you know, the more you spend, the more companies make money. So to be selfish is good for capitalism. But being selfish isn't good for children, because you have to give up things. You have to sacrifice for your children. So unfortunately, that selfish attitude that has been fostered because of capitalism is now ruining family life. And the Western world is now recognizing that, yes, we need to come back to somewhere in the middle where people who get married, people who have children, it's really about the children.
Yeah, of course.
If you and I are married and we don't have any children and we divorce, then that's fine. Nothing's going to happen. But if you and I are married and we have children, those children are going to suffer. It is absolutely proven now that children who are raised in single-parent household are far worse off. They have the highest criminal rates, the highest problems with delinquency and all the other things. All the numbers are in. This is not even like scientists don't even debate about this. Single-parent households are worse than two-parent households. So we should try to maintain a social pressure on people wanting to stay in a marriage or wanting to stay together until the children have grown up.
Yeah, but people can't do
But
this.
they don't.
They can't, because I can't take people seriously with that now these days.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Not everything is perfect. I mean, I'm talking about an ideal situation where the man and woman are living together happily, or even semi-happily. But if there's a situation where the guy is beating the crap out of the woman has to get out of that. Those are exceptional situations. There will always be exceptions. So the things that I say is with a what do they call it? Hashtag not all. There's always a not all, because there is always exceptional situations. But for a general, ideas or general consensus, the society is better off if men and women live together and raise healthier children.
Yeah.
That's just overall better. There will be exceptions, and we'll provide for those exceptions, but it shouldn't be so easy. You shouldn't just get up in the morning and go, I want to divorce you, and it's like that, and it's done. There should be some level of social stigma to you wanting to separate your household.
Like communication.
Well, communication, your parents, your family, your society, your social group should at least not be happy on the fact that you are deciding to divorce your family and divorce break up your family. They should at least try to insist you should try to work it out.
Yeah,
and at least make divorce a little bit harder so that people have to work at it. They can't just divorce. They have to try first to make it work. And yeah, if there's absolutely no way, if there are really bad situations, then fine. I don't have a problem with divorce. I just don't think it should be so easy for either side.
But now these days it's very easy to divorce.
Of course. Yeah.
And now I can't take people,
Yeah, but that's why I, as an individual, have taken the decision that I will not. I know society will not have any stigma over me divorcing, but I will find someone who themselves feels marriage is as important as I do.
Yeah.
As the weight of the responsibility of a marriage should be well understood. Someone who can truly grasp that this is a commitment for life, and this is a commitment to another group of people, the children, that I will produce through this. And that's if you want children, that is, of course. But what I mean is the person has to recognize this is a great responsibility, a great burden that I'm taking on.
Yeah.
I shouldn't do it lightly. I shouldn't do it off a whim.
Seriously, you have to take it seriously. You know, the children, you have children, so you need to, you know, look after them.
And you've got to realize your personal needs, your personal desires are going to be second place to the welfare of those children. So whatever you want out of life, you may have to give up. You may want it to be a doctor. You might not have to become be a doctor.
Yeah, you have to give up.
Yeah, you might have wanted to become a lawyer or president, whatever. You may have to give those things up.
There's a lot of things you have to give up.
Well, you have to, or I mean, not always you have to, but
not every time,
there is a chance, there's a good chance you have to give these things up. And a lot of people do.
Yeah, but Banksy, can I just tell you one thing? Yeah?
Sure.
I think, now I'm not being, you can disagree with me or not, yeah, but I think marriage is a job.
So you would never want to get married?
Now, I want to in the future, but what I'm seeing right now, like divorce rates are high.
Yeah, but I mean,
and it's so easily to get rid of a person that quick.
Of course. But the thing is, you have to decide. You see, you may think that it's a joke on a societal level, but how do you feel about it on a personal level? Are you willing to make the sacrifices to make your marriage work and make your marriage last? Or are you willing to just have the same flippant attitude towards it as everyone else does? Because society may not take it seriously. You may marry and divorce and society will allow you. But you as an individual can change that. You don't have to have it for yourself.
Yeah, but it depends. Whether is the situation bad or is it getting more worse? Or can I work it? It depends about the relationship.
Well, yeah, but I mean, how do you then choose the relationships you get involved in? How will you best select your husband effectively? Either would you do it? I mean, I know you come from a traditional family, so will your family be involved in your decision? What's the best scenario in which you can devise a system in which you can select your husband and give yourself the most amount of assurance, like a 90% assurance that this guy is the right one? How would you do that? How would you go about that?
That's
the trick.
That is
that's the trick we're all trying. That's the unicorn we're all trying to find. Nobody knows what's the best way. You let your family choose. You could still end up with a terrible husband or a wife. You choose yourself. You could still end up with a terrible husband or wife. You do it through love. He could still turn out to be terrible. You do it for money. He could still turn out to be terrible. There is no guarantees. That's why it's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
It's a gamble.
It's gambling. You know, the marriage is gambling.
It is. It is. But there is a set of, for me, I think there are a set of principles, set of values, which are like red lines. I will not let anyone cross those lines. If they can't meet that minimum principles or standards that I have set for myself when I want to get into marriage, then I can't. That's a deal breaker. So for you, I would imagine you would have to have a husband that's probably a Muslim, that would follow those Muslim traditions. Yeah. So you see, you would already have, because Islam set some criteria for you of how you should be in a marriage, how your husband should behave in a marriage, your responsibilities in the marriage, his responsibilities in the marriage. So in a weird way, you've already got a set of lines, set of rules that have been dictated by your religion of how you both should behave. Yeah. So that's a criteria, if you like. That's like a set of criteria that you've already assigned. So that could be one step, and then the next step is, how does he behave? How is he to you?
His personality,
exactly.
Behave,
all the rest.
Because there's a lot of people out there, Banksy, to tell you the truth. There's behavior problems.
Of course, they've got psychological problems.
Yeah, a lot of problems. Depression, of course.
Yes.
Mental health.
But the thing is, you see, for me, like if my wife has depression, has psychological problems, because I feel such a massive responsibility to my wife and my kids, and I want to make this marriage work. I'm not going to think, okay, she's crazy, I'm just going to divorce her. I'm going to be thinking, okay, how can I help her so that we can build a better life, we can make this marriage happy again? Because this marriage used to be happy, now it's terrible, and I want to get out, but I don't want to leave because I can't. I can't leave. Like, leaving isn't a choice for me.
No, you
I don't make it a choice. I don't put it there as a choice. I literally say leaving is not a choice. How can I make this work? I have to make this work. If you have that mindset, then you will figure out a way to make it work. But if you have the mindset of, if it doesn't work out, I'll check out. If you're always looking at the back door to get out, then of course you're going to take that option.
Yeah.
But if you shut that door, nail it shut, make sure there's no way you can
but there's
leave.
no explaining it. You know what I'm saying? Straight to it, just divorce. But there's no, you don't want to give it a chance. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people, they divorce so quickly, but they're not ready to give a second chance. Let me wrap this out. But they just easily do that.
Exactly. They go straight to divorce. Like, this marriage is unhappy, I don't like it, I'm feeling a bit uncomfortable, straight to divorce.
I know men's are, males, they divorce as well. But females, I think females are a lot.
Yeah, it's something like 45% of divorces are initiated by
Females.
women,
Yeah.
not by men.
Men's
That's-
are, but
that's how-
females are the most.
But
Some
the-
are females.
Yeah, but the thing is, again, there is, apart from the very extreme exceptions of like having a violent relationship and it's really bad and it's cruel and all that, those are the absolute exceptions. Apart from those, the rest, the average ones, the ones that you argue occasionally, or you just don't like each other for a while, or you have mood swings, or your partner is suffering from depression, those I think you can salvage, you can recover.
Yeah.
The extremes you probably can't. They're probably better off divorcing, because it's actually sometimes even better for the children to divorce. Because if your children are watching your dad beat the crap out of your mum, or
It's
your
gonna be
mum
bad.
beats up your dad,
Yeah, it's very
that's
bad.
terrible for the psychology of the child anyway. So you're actually better off not being in that environment. But those again are I think they're the minor exceptions. They're the smaller percentage. Them aside, the bulk of the divorces and the bulk of marriages that fall apart are probably ones that they just have a bit of disagreement, a bit of arguing, a bit of getting fed up of each other, because you will. There's a plateau, there's the honeymoon phase, which you love each other, you're all over each other,
Yeah,
but then you hit a plateau, which is just average, which is just life, you just live. And then there comes a moments of up and down where you hate each other and you're fighting, and then you're back together. But I think if both people are conscious about this, and they know, because there are a lot of books that are written about this. There's a great book called Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, which is about men and women's lives as a husband and wife or in a long-term relationship. It's not about the early parts of your marriage. It's about the middle bit and the bits that get rough at the end, and how to deal with that. And it's got great ideas and great information and knowledge about how to make your marriage work or make your relationship work. So there are books out there. There are lots of really good things. I'm not married and I still read those books, because I know that if I do get married, I should have this information. I should at least know where to go get this information if those events happen. For me, the thing is, I want to know what's coming around the corner. So if I have read, and if someone else has already gone around the corner, they've had a look, and they've told me this is what happened, maybe I should take note of that. That's why I respect older people than myself. The thing is, we've lost a lot of respect for the elderly, because we think that they don't know anything, they're stupid. And young people are constantly thinking that they know better than the elders. And yet, elder people have lived the same life as you have, believe it or not. They've gone around the corner. They've seen what's going on. Listen to them. Listen to your elders. Listen to your parents. If your parents have had a good marriage, they know something.
They know something. Yeah, you don't.
You may not know these things. They've already lived the life and they've already done the things that you are now experiencing. So maybe they have some ideas. So gain as much information from wise people, from elder people, from books, from whatever you want. And as I said, we live this one life. You see, I'll be honest, I'm not a Muslim, so I feel I live this one life, and I got to make this work. And it has its problems. It can be terrible, it can be great, but we have to make it work. We have to figure it out.
Figure it out one day.
Yeah. And in your case, who knows? You might go to Jenna and everything will be great. And you'll be fine.
You're a funny guy, man. You crack me up.
And if if that's the case, then screw this life. Let's just hang around and wait for Jenna. I don't know. Nobody knows. Everybody has the best guess.
Yeah.
That's all it is. And we're trying to make it work with this life that we've been given. Everybody's struggling. Nobody's 100% happy. Even those rich people, they're suffering.
They're billionaires, they're struggling.
Exactly. Look at Jeff Bezos. He's complaining about his divorce. His wife's trying to take him for every penny he's got. He's getting screwed. And he's the richest man in the world. So
the money's gone.
If he's got problems, the rest of us.
Yeah, we all have problems. We are stressed.
It is. But what? I mean, are you thinking about marriage? Are you in that point in your life?
Honestly, I just heard when you just said you don't want to marry a Western.
Oh, I see.
That's why
interesting.
That's why I was bringing it up.
I see.
But marriage is not in my head yet. So.
No, so you're still okay for a few years.
Yes.
Because I thought, coming from a traditional family, usually the parents start to insist on like getting married. It's time for you to get married. I get it all the time, and
I'm 23, so I'm still young.
No, you got time. I think by 28, you should make some serious decisions. You should have made up your mind. Because by 28, that's your prime. Between 28, I would say, and 32 are your prime marrying window. Because biologically, see, unlike you, as a man, I can have a child at 99 years old. I don't have a clock that's ticking inside me. No. But as a woman, you have a clock. Literally a ticking clock inside you.
Males and females are different.
Exactly. Biologically, you have a very different way of looking at the world than I do, because you have certain urgencies, like your biological clock and all those things. So you have to make certain mature decisions by the time you're about 28, 29. Whilst I was still a child when I was in my 20s, I was still screwing around. I wasn't even thinking serious things.
What did you do?
Because I was working, but I had my own business. But I was partying and I was out.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't thinking about marriage until like mid-30s, because I don't have to as a man. Sorry? Oh no, I'm not gonna. I'm not saying a word to this camera. Too many people watching. I am older.
Of course, I can tell by your face, yeah.
But yeah, for you, 28 is your crunch time. You have to start making serious choices. Do you want a career or do you want a marriage with kids? Those are like.
The reason why I brought this up is because you just said the thing. That's why I brought it up. But marriage is not like it's not in my head yet. I'm not
that's fine. That's fine. And but yeah, I mean, I know I'm a complete heathen. I know I am a murtadeen and I do all the bad things. But when it comes to my marriage and my kids, I take that very seriously.
Yeah, of course.
I don't take any serious.
But people don't take it seriously.
I don't take many things serious in life. I'm a joker most of the time, but like that.
What is that?
This is the Joker from. It's the Joker from the Batman film, but it's McDonald's Joker.
Yeah. Oh, McDonald's is closed down.
Yeah, well, they're refurbishing, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's it. So anyway, I think we should end it for the for the camera, because they're still talking. But it's been an absolute pleasure, my love. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Peace. Okay, we're done.
Content over everything. From your melody.
Man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV. Listen.
And it's not even a kind of like we was kings, like give us handouts. It's fair game, man. They only finished paying it back in 50.
I don't like the socialism model.
No, it's not socialism. It's
Kind of like it.
and it feels like redistribution. And I don't mean to be that guy like, oh, the Jews got reparations, but. By the way,
I don't agree.
By the way, the Irish
compensations. That's different. I believe in compensations because that's immediate. The council can be done easier.